Welcome to another edition of James Martell's Coffee Talk, where James, successful publisher, speaker, and author of Online Success for Non-Techies, talks frankly and openly with experts from within the internet marketing industry about strategies and techniques you can use to develop a successful online presence for your personal or corporate brand. Here's your host, James Martell.
Yes, and welcome to Coffee Talk. Today I'm going to be speaking with Don Campbell, a leading social media expert, about mobile marketing and how mobile can give local business owners immediate access to a captive audience in a highly targeted way. If you're wondering, as a business owner who is looking for new customers, if you should be paying attention to mobile marketing, consider these 2012 stats. 91% of all smartphone users have their phone within arm's reach 24/7, according to Morgan Stanley. 44% of Facebook's 900 million monthly users access Facebook on their phones, and they are twice as active on Facebook as non-mobile users. 9 out of 10 mobile searches lead to action, over half of them leading to a purchase, according to Search Engine Land. 61% of local searches on a mobile phone result in a phone call, according to Google, and 70% of all mobile searches result in an action within 1 hour, according to mobile marketing. According to Search Engine Land, mobile marketing is proving to produce more immediate results and a higher response rate than any other method of marketing ever seen. Now, Don Campbell is the president of Expand to Web, which provides tools and training to help businesses succeed online. He's helped literally thousands of business owners learn how to build an effective web presence and get more customers from the web. Prior to founding Expand to Web in January 2008, Don was a technology evangelist for Microsoft, where he helped partners adopt new Microsoft technologies and presented to C-level executives at Fortune 500 companies. Don is an instructor at the School of Internet Marketing, and he lives in the heart of Silicon Valley in San Jose, California, with his lovely wife and 2 daughters. Don, thanks for joining me for Coffee Talk.
Thanks, James. It's great to be here.
Before we delve into some more stats and reasons why business owners should be paying attention to mobile marketing, let's kind of give it a definition, if we could, for the context of this discussion. What does mobile marketing mean? More specifically, what does mobile-enabled mean?
Yeah, good question. That's the crux of the problem, I think, is that people have so many different things in their mind when you say mobile, right? It can mean anything from, some people think of SMS, text messaging, some people think of iPhone apps or Android apps, and other people think of all kinds of different stuff, QR codes and things like that. And so from a small business perspective, though, I like to just think about it from the basics, because 85% of small business owners don't have any kind of a mobile website or presence. So I like to always kind of remind people, let's start at the beginning and make sure we cover those bases first, and then you can look at some of the other fancy things that are coming out.
Let's talk a little bit about these mobile devices, because I know we see people, and I'm one of them, you are probably too, and probably many listeners, we have our nice little smartphones, and we'll be sitting on a subway, or we'll be sitting, waiting for somebody in the car, or wherever we happen to be. We'll have these little devices with us, whether we're in an airport or at a hotel. These things have really permeated our life. They're everywhere now, and we've got our faces buried in them. And I think I'd like to point out maybe to business owners that haven't really noticed, or maybe you're not aware, what are we doing on these phones?
I mean, people are doing so many things. The studies show they're doing a lot of research before they buy. They're researching things. I don't know about you, but when I'm in the bookstore, I can't buy a book at Barnes & Noble unless I look up on Amazon first to see what the reviews were. I'll buy it from Barnes & Noble, but I want to know a little bit about the book and what other people thought. They're doing research. They're using something like Yelp or Foursquare or Google Plus on their phone to find places to eat. Or maybe they're just doing a search on the map to get directions somewhere. They're doing all kinds of things like this that are very local-oriented, right? I mean, the people are doing the research to come somewhere to buy something.
I was pretty amazed to see, according to Facebook, that 40% of their 900 million active users access Facebook from their phones. That even put me back a little bit, thinking, that's interesting. I had no idea it was that high in volume.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, it's amazing. The thing, though, that I think is very interesting is when you look at the commitment that Facebook and Google are putting behind mobile right now, then it tells you something, right? They've got senior executives out there saying this is our priority this year. And the reason is because this year more mobile-enabled Internet devices are being sold than traditional PCs. And so this is like the tipping point. Right now, it's not next year or sometime soon. It's like more people are going to be looking for stuff on the web for your goods and services from a mobile device than from a desktop PC.
This really seems to tie directly back into some of the earlier discussions you and I have had in one of the early talks where we talked about Google Plus Local, and we talked about some of these traditional forms of advertising just not working like they used to be. You know, most of us grew up with the Yellow Pages and our little local newspapers, but they just don't have the readership anymore. And what I look at, and anytime I talk to the gang around here, we got a lot of young adults, or kids are now into their early 20s with the exception of one. They do not use the Yellow Pages. They look at me funny if I even ask them the question. They do not read the local paper. Every single thing they seem to do is revolving around their little mobile devices, and heaven forbid if you ever take them away from them. I know we had to ground our daughter for something. We're all so interdependent on these devices now. They are our resource to figure out what we're going to do. I know with the 20-somethings and the 30-somethings, and I guess even into the 40s and 50s and upward now, anytime that we're planning an event, it's not uncommon. Let's say we're attending a fundraiser at a local pub or some dinner is being put together. A lot of this is organized through the Internet, and a lot of the pre-planning is done online these days. And I know with the stats that we're seeing in mobile with these devices, a lot of the invitations are being sent out, and I know I saw this happen in the little pub that I hang out where there was a little group of people came in. They're probably in their mid-20s, and there's probably about 4 or 5 of them, and then all of a sudden they're pulling out their phones and they're doing their thing. Next thing you know, there's 25 people there. It was all because of their devices and this ability we have these days to connect. And this is the type of thing we're talking about, isn't it? This is how business owners can get involved with this and attract customers, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, we see the evidence all around us of these people using the devices, right? And we're using them too. And so now the next job for us, for business owners, to make sure that we're represented, that we've got a good mobile presence, that we're showing up in the search results when people are looking for something in our local area, and that when they get to our website, we make it easy for them to get the stuff that they want.
That is a bit of a problem for some business owners, isn't it, who have websites that are a little bit older. I think you had a name for it. What was it, Stretch?
Modern smartphone devices will pull up your website in the browser on the screen and render it fine. But the problem is everything's really small, so then you see these people pinching and zooming so they can see something big enough to click on it. And I was at a conference recently where a speaker named it Pinch and Zoom Hell. I thought it was a good name for it because you've got this website and you're having to zoom in on everything. You can't even press the button because it's too small, even if you can read it. That's really the problem when you don't have a mobile experience for your visitor, right, is that, you know, your website might show up, but it's not really geared toward what they want. The studies have shown that mobile visitors, they're different than regular people sitting behind a desktop PC. They're very goal-oriented. When they're looking for something on a mobile device, they've got something in mind, and usually for a small business it means they want to find your phone number or your business hours, or they want to get directions to your place of business. So they're not there to read your blog posts, right? They're walking down the street trying to find out how to get to your place, or they're in their car trying to figure out how to get there. And so it's really important that we recognize that they've got different goals, they spend less time on your website, and they view less pages. So you've got to kind of put your best foot forward once they do find you online so that they can actually come to your business.
So tell us about that from a practicality point of view, if you could. We've got those out there who have websites that were built by a graphic designer possibly, and we're not quite sure what content management system they use to create the site, if any. And then we can go right to the other end of the spectrum where we've got WordPress-based websites, which I know you talked about in an earlier session, that 15% of the planet, 15% of websites online these days have been built using the free WordPress content management system. How can we give advice to a business owner who's not quite sure if they're mobile ready, if their website's not set up for it? And if they're not, what do they need to do to get it mobile ready?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the starting point is to think about to pull up your site on a few different mobile devices. If you don't have an iPhone or an Android or a tablet of some kind, find someone who does and look at your site. I mean, because there could be some nasty surprises. I mean, if you've got any Flash on your website, it's not going to show up on any of the iPhones or iPads, right? It's not even going to render at all. And that even includes some of the YouTube videos. If you embedded your YouTube video over a year and a half ago, then that's not going to show up because that used to be a Flash player before they replaced it with an HTML5 one. So you got to make sure that your site's even coming up at all. And then when it does come up, It's really important that you figure out a way to detect where the visitor's coming from and show them something appropriate for their device. And that might mean redoing your site. It really does depend on kind of what you have. In WordPress, there are plugins that can help. The good news is, though, there are good solutions out there for this that aren't that expensive. The solutions are well known. It's just a matter of figuring out what you need to be able to show there. But most people don't know. Most people, you ask them, they really don't know what their site looks like on a mobile device.
And I think that's a very good point. And you said if you don't have an iPhone or a Google Android phone to find one, I would actually say go buy one. I think we should be using one of the devices that our customers are using to find us so we can get to know the technology a little bit more. And it's not that complicated anymore these days, especially I have a Google Android, and it's a little bit more complicated than the iPhone. But the iPhone, our previous phone, was an iPhone 3, and it was amazing, crazy intuitive, very simple to use, nice to browse around. A little bit slow, but the new iPhones are blazing fast, and if you're a little bit more technically inclined and you want to go the Google route, that road as well.
You know what else I see people doing sometimes is you'll see them in Best Buy, or one of the electronics stores where they have all the devices, and they go around to each of the devices and pull up their website.
Talk about, if you could, WordPress. Now, we're really kind of focused on mobile marketing here, but websites is kind of the driver behind it. We're sending people to your site through a mobile device that needs to be mobile-enabled, mobile-ready. Talk a little bit more about WordPress.
Yeah, so WordPress is a great platform for small business websites, and as you mentioned, we did a whole class on that. And it's a great place to start because it makes, all the things we talk about in that class, that it's easy to update, that Google does like WordPress sites. They tend to rank well. They tend to be updated more frequently. And there's a lot of good features to it. And
Sorry, Don, you said Google doesn't like WordPress sites or does?
No, they do. Yeah, Google loves WordPress sites.
Okay.
Definitely, they tend to rank really well. And so WordPress is a great base. And the other nice thing about WordPress is that there are plugins available that you can just turn on that will mobile enable your website. Now, for a small business, it's a little different because most of those plugins make all your blog posts readable. There are different ways to do it. The theme, we make a theme called the Small Biz theme that we talk about in the class that has mobile auto detection built in. And you'll also see a lot of the newer WordPress themes are designed with something called responsive technology. They call it responsive web design. Those will actually reformat themselves based on the size of the screen that's viewing them. So there's a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of good solutions out there today. And, if you're already on WordPress as a platform, it's going to be easier for you to get to a nice mobile experience.
I do know you referenced your course there. It's called How to Build Your Website in a Weekend. And I do know you go into great detail on exactly how to do that. And, the other thing, too, that I'd like to mention, a lot of business owners, they're busier than a bee, of course, because it takes a lot these days to run a business. There's so much to it. But a lot of business owners also have some staff that they could put in front of a course like yours where they could learn how to get that business mobile-enabled, and that they could go through. And maybe somebody that the business owner is not so technically inclined. It's one of the reasons we call this series Mobile Marketing for Non-Techies, because it's truly, most of us are non-techies, but we do have a lot of employees, and some of them are very technically enabled, and they love this stuff. Some of them are younger, they grew up on it.
They probably have a mobile device, too.
They probably do. So more information on that course can be found at theschool123.com, where you can learn how to build a small business website. And let's talk about the practicality of actually doing that and the kind of costs that people are paying these days. Because I know it's not uncommon to come across somebody who spent $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 on a website that they really don't know anything about, including if it's mobile enabled, and they don't know how to update it. WordPress has completely changed the playing field as far as cost, hasn't it?
Yeah, it sure has. I was working at a company in Silicon Valley in 1998 and 99 and 2000, and for about 3.5 years I worked at a company where we did web content management for bigger companies, not for small businesses, but that software costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to these companies. It's amazing to see, you fast forward to today and you've got a tool like WordPress that has most of the functionality you need, and it's free. Or maybe you spend a few bucks on a premium theme or hiring a developer to help you build it the way you want it to look, but it's very cost-effective for a small business. And it really, we've seen it over and over again, both of us, James. I mean, it's a new marketing channel for the business when they do it right.
Yeah, I know in the session we talked with you on Google Plus Local where you got into looking at your website as a hub, fascinating stuff. And then also with the plugins, and the plugin, just to give a visual reference of sorts, plugins very similar to an iPhone app where you can add an app to the phone for free and it just extends the functionality. Whereas with WordPress, you can add a plugin, which is the same idea, and it adds some additional functionality to the website so you can do more things with it. And 98% plus, I would think, of the the plugins are free. Talk, if you would, mobile apps versus mobile-enabled websites.
That's one of the misconceptions people have is, they're used to maybe getting an app if they have an iPhone or an Android. They're used to downloading apps, and their first thought is, I need an app too. And those are great. Apps are fun, and all of us who have smartphones have played around with a few games or tools like Yelp or Foursquare on our phone, and so apps are good. But we're going to, mostly focus on here is getting your website mobile-enabled. And you can do both, but I think a starting point is the website, because with an app, you have to count on someone going to the App Store and downloading your app in order to use it. And there are definitely some great situations to do that. I think that, the first step is to get the website ready to go, looking good on a mobile device, so that because people are going to come to your website when they're searching for you on their phone from Google or when they're searching through some other way on the phone. They're going to end up at your website probably. You want it to look right, and without them having to download an app to do it.
You mentioned getting your website ready to go. I know you and I are both familiar with Dr. Jerry Anderson. You actually referred her to me, and she's a wonderful lady. She's a chiropractor based out of Sacramento, California. And she can be more to the point with business owners than we probably can when she talks about, if you're not, she goes, I'm going to say this as nice as I can, but ladies and gentlemen, the world is not flat anymore. And she was talking specifically to people that do not even have a website yet. And I read a stat the other day that 54% of small business owners in the state of California alone don't even have a website, which I guess is bad news in a lot of ways, but it's also very, very exciting news because you get to start from scratch and learn how to do it right and make sure that you're not stumbling into a $5,000 or $10,000 graphic designer that you really want to stay away from. Sorry to the graphics guys, you're good at graphics, not building sites generally. And you want to make sure that you're, as you said, the site is mobile enabled, mobile ready to go, so when somebody does look you up, they can find what they're looking for. So back to the site again, what type of pages do you think, at a very minimum, the website owner should have, and I imagine you talk about this in your course, but let's cover it. What sites should they have, what pages on their site should they have so that when somebody's looking for them through their Google Android or their iPad or their tablet or their iPhone, what pages should they have?
Yeah, so it depends on every business, but the four that I think are absolutely necessary, number one is on the first page they come to. It should be auto-detected, and it should take them to a page that gives them some really obviously know what your business does, so that they, if they're looking for a restaurant or if they're looking for something else, so you have to know what it's about. And I think the call us button needs to be touch enabled so that you can press on it and make the call on your phone right there. Also, the map and directions should pull up the map on the device so they can get directions right away. Those are the key things in business hours. The idea is you've got a nice landing page for them that they come to, they get all the information they need. Now, for certain types of businesses, you might also want to have a coupon page, like if there's a special you want them to walk in the door with. Or for a restaurant, I think it's really important that they're able to view your menu or at least your special, so something about your menu on that mobile device. Otherwise, they're trying to make a decision about whether to come to your restaurant or not, right, from other restaurants. And this has happened to me many times, where I've been looking up a restaurant and I end up going to the one that has a menu on my phone because I can see what it is. My friends and I decide, yep, we're going to go there, but we skip over all these other restaurants because they didn't even have a menu. So those are the key things, I think, is, the call us, how to call, how to get directions, business hours, and then either, coupons or a menu or something like that.
Tell us more about the How to Build a Website in a Weekend course. I know it's 6 lessons, 6 30-minute lessons, so it's really easy to consume and get through. And also tell us about your small business theme.
In the course, what we do is we build a theme, a website, a small business website from scratch using WordPress and the small biz theme. And one of the nice things is once you turn on this theme, it's got all the features kind of ready to go, and you ask you for your business information, and you put that in, so you've got your business name and address and phone number on every page of the site. It's got some other SEO things like micro formats built into it. And then you just choose your header graphic, and we just kind of walk you through that process, and you end up with a website that's got some basic pages on it, like a home page with either a picture or a slideshow or a video, some call to action. Also has like an about page, so it can be about the business or your products or about the doctor or whatever your business does, a contact page and a map and directions page. It's also got a blog built right into it. And then the nice thing is you can extend it to as many pages as you want, but at least you've got a good starting point, with some solid content. And so we build that, in the class. By the end of the class, we have a complete website. We'll turn on the mobile detection so that you have a mobile landing page for that site, and we show you a bunch of other options and tips on how to optimize that for the search engine. It's pretty comprehensive. And once people go through it once and they come out with a website, it's kind of nice because you come out the other side and you have built one and you can do more of them if you want to, and it's not as intimidating as it might have seemed at first.
Yeah, and it's a great sense of accomplishment when it's done. And also, because it's WordPress, it gives the business owner complete control over their content, where they're no longer phoning the graphic designer to say, hey, can you update this page? And a bill shows up for $75 because, they get logged into the dashboard in the back end. And talk a little bit about that, how easy it is to update the content.
Yeah, once you have one of the reasons WordPress sites do better in the search results is because Google likes sites that have fresh content that's unique and that are updated frequently. And it's easy to do that because you can go into WordPress and you've got a nice little dashboard where you can easily create new blog posts. You don't have to call them blog posts. You can call them articles or whatever you want. But it's a nice WYSIWYG editor. It's kind of like a Microsoft Word where you can bold text and you can insert a picture in there if you want to. You can do hyperlinks. You can put video in there. It's really, really straightforward. If you can edit a Word document, then you can post a new web page on your site. And so that solves the traditional problem that most small business owners that I talk to have, is that they just can't update their website. And that's one of the things that makes WordPress a great solution for them.
Let's talk about a few of your other courses, and I know we've had a chance to talk about these in other Coffee Talks, and of course those who are part of the school get access to all the Coffee Talk interviews, and I got to thank you for spending the time with us on them, because this is absolutely great information, and I think business owners, really probably appreciate hearing this. Talk about, just in a nutshell, Google Plus Local. I know that's another course of yours you do with us at the school here. Give us a little bit about what Google Plus Local is, because it's another great way, because it ties beautifully back into having a WordPress-based website again, or a nice website online, and how business owners can use that course as well to drive additional traffic and customers to their business.
Yeah, sure, and the Google Plus Local thing is related to mobile too, right? Because that's one of the ways you get to show up on the Google Maps on the device, on the mobile devices, if you have claimed this Google Plus Local profile. And so in the other classes we talked, number one, about building your website in a weekend and making that a hub of your online presence, and then the other course is for Google Plus Local and how you've claimed this free profile that Google offers to all business owners. Helps you describe your business and your location and your products, and allows you to upload videos and pictures, and completely filling out that profile gives you a chance to rank for these searches with what Google calls with local intent. So once Google can determine, hey, this person is looking for a local business or local goods or services, then it shows out the results in a special kind of a format with a map, with pins in it. That's the result of having a good Google Plus Local profile and linking it to your website. And so that's what that course is about. We go into a lot of detail about how to fill that profile out, some of the common things people do that kind of screw up their rankings in Google Plus Local and things like that, and how it's related to Google Plus overall. So we cover that in the course. It's related to mobile because once you've claimed that profile and you've got it filled out, now you've got a footprint in the mobile search as well if they're searching Google Maps on their mobile device.
That's a good way to put it, too, a footprint, because really what we're talking about here is getting a website up that's going to rank not only in the regular natural results through our computers and our laptops, but also being able to be found through the local search as well. So there's basically 2 pages you can now show up for in the Google results, your own website and a Google Plus page. You also mentioned, this is kind of off on a tangent, in fact, before we do that, for information on the Google Local 101 course, it's theschool124.com, if you want to make a note of that, theschool124.com. Talk very briefly about your Foursquare course, what Foursquare is. I know it's for really, it's really up and coming. It seems to be, one of the latest social networks that are really coming on strong. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Foursquare is it's an app that people use on their smartphones to check in at different business locations. Amazing, a lot of people haven't heard of it, but over 25 million people are using Foursquare. They've had over 2 billion check-ins at different places of business. And it's an opportunity for a business owner because as a business owner, you can claim your venue in Foursquare and add a bunch of additional information and offer specials and help your business to stand out. And incidentally, we're talking about mobile devices here. Well, a lot of times people are searching for your business, through the maps or Google on the device, but a lot of times they're in an app. They might be in Foursquare's Explore mode looking for a business, right? Or they might be using Yelp, which is an app they can download to their mobile device. In the iPhone's case, there's a tool called Siri that many people may have heard of where you can actually do voice search, and it's actually pretty cool. I've played with it a lot. And Siri gets its data, and so people are trying to find your business by saying, find me a pizza place nearby, or, find me a place where I can buy this. You've got to make sure that your footprint extends to all these different little places, right? So that's one of the things we talk about is Foursquare. We've got a whole class on it because it represents such an opportunity to get listed for Foursquare's search and also on web search, to offer specials and basically build a nice little communication system with your customers that are checking in and using Foursquare, because Foursquare gives you all this data. It says, hey, did you know that James has checked into your business more than anyone else in the last 30 days? And then they give you the mayor badge, right? And so now many businesses who are using Foursquare, they're figuring out, we better reward these people, because when they check in, they're sharing that on Facebook, they're sharing on Twitter. What a great way to spread word of mouth about my business. So I should be rewarding those people. There's a lot of neat opportunities there.
And, of course, all of this ties beautifully. One of your newer courses or newest courses is mobile marketing, because in all cases we're talking about with the website or Google Plus Local or Foursquare, these are all accessible, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. All of these are completely being accessed through mobile devices. So talk a little bit about what you're going to cover off in your mobile marketing course.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about basically what it means to mobile enable a small business website. So the focus will be around, a business. I mean, it's applicable to any website, but we're going to be focusing on, hey, if you're a small business and you're trying to figure out what to do online, what are the easy things that you could be doing? What are the things you should tackle first, right? And we're going to talk about responsive design. We're going to talk about mobile detection, making sure that your site has got an effective landing page for those people. We will talk about some of the other technologies too, like text messaging and QR codes, but we're going to focus on building this effective presence first. And then we're going to talk about mobile visitors and what they're looking for, and then how you can make your site respond appropriately to them based on the type of business that you have. Then we're going to go through and show how you make sure. We're going to touch on how to claim your profile in the different services so that it shows up. I mean, one example is that Apple, in the next version of iOS coming out this fall, they're going to replace Google Maps with their own mapping system. So we're going to talk a lot about not only how do I get my site to look good on a mobile device, but how do I rank? Like, where are people searching on their mobile device? They're searching on Maps, they're searching in their mobile browser, and they're searching in these different apps. So we're going to kind of go over that too and say, how do I show up in all those places? So that once I show up, then people come to my site. How do I make my site convert so that I actually get someone visiting my business? So it's going to be very practical. We're going to talk about some really cool technologies, but also put them in a real practical light of, okay, what could I be doing that's actually going to make a difference, and not just playing with these apps. I want to make sure my business is represented out there and people can take action.
So we've talked about mobile marketing. We've touched a little bit on Google Plus Local. We talked about Foursquare. With Stephanie Lichtenstein, we get a chance to cover off Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, and a couple other topics as well. For a business owner that's listening and they're kind of like, whoa, where do I get started? Let's take it right back to the basics here. For a business owner that doesn't have a website, or a business owner that doesn't have control of their website, and I guess for a business owner that does have, where should they focus their attention first?
Well, they definitely want to start with the building your website in a weekend, because even if they have an existing website that's not, most of the business owners I talk to fall in one of two camps. They either don't have a website and they're just not sure how much it should cost or where to start, or they have invested in a website a few years ago, maybe, but it isn't really a marketing channel. It's not really getting results for them. And so this course is really good, the website in a weekend, because we're going to kind of go through what are the elements of a successful website with a clear call to action, what needs to be on that website, and how do I make it the hub of my online presence. And so I think that's probably the best starting point for most people, just because it kind of sets it up for some of the other courses to be able to kick in and really make a difference.
And then following on the heels of that, which would be the next course you would recommend?
Well, I think the Google Plus Local one is a good one, because that's where you can really start to establish the footprint for your business online and link that to your website, starting to establish some credibility in Google's eyes that you are a legitimate business in this geographic area for this service or product. So I think that's a really good next step, how to do that right and how to make it so that your site has the best chance to rank for the keywords you care about when people are looking for local goods and services.
The nice thing about the school and the way these courses are formatted, I do know there are 6 lessons each. They're 6 30-minute video lessons, so they're very easy to go through. I know you take them step by step through the process, so they're not just sitting in a class. They're actually doing the work as they go. And I do know probably in a lot of cases a small business owner may want to take the classes maybe with an employee and then task them with the actual work, but this will give them the knowledge and foundation that they need. Anything else? I know we do the twice monthly live Q&As in the online conference room, so they get places to ask their questions, and then also the Facebook group if they have things that come up.
Yeah, and I think it's a great way for people to get some continuity and stay in touch because, you end up meeting people on there that can help you. And, we're on there too, and it's just good to have that sort of support so that when you take the class and you move to the next step, these classes are all recorded, so you can see them, you can watch them again and again. Having that kind of the glue is the community around it that helps you when you get stuck, for example.
Let me just give out that contact information one more time. So for the How to Build Your Website in a Weekend course, that's www.theschool123. For the Google Plus Local 101 course, that is www.theschool124. For the Foursquare course, which I think is a very cool little course that people will get probably a lot more out of than they think. And I think that's a lot of the cases with some of this. This is very amazing information, if I may give you a little plug, Don. Foursquare is theschool125.com, and then the mobile marketing course is theschool126. Don, any final thoughts to share with small business owners who are maybe looking at this all for the first time?
Yeah, I hope you join us. It's not as hard as you think. There's a lot of great things, a lot of great tools out there with a little bit of knowledge. There's some things you can do right away that can make a difference, and then you can grow that over time. So a lot of fun things we're going to be doing here. I've seen it work before, and it's a real joy to see a business implement some of these things and get results. So we're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot, and I hope you'll join us.
Don, thanks so much for joining me for Coffee Talk.
You bet. My pleasure, James. Thanks.
To learn more about James Martell, the School of Internet Marketing, and how you or someone on your staff can quickly and easily learn how to develop a successful online presence for your personal or corporate brand, visit theschoolofinternetmarketing.com. That's www.theschoolofinternetmarketing.com.